The struggle that you're going through right now is the reason that your story will one day be incredible. There's this idea that I wish someone had told me a few years ago, because now that I've built some of the success, now that I've gone through what I've gone through and overcome those struggles, some of those struggles of which almost meant that I didn't get to achieve this success, almost stopped me from doing this, almost led to me quitting entirely. Now that I've overcome those struggles and I get to be here with the life that I am proud of and success that I've achieved, I wish someone had told me back then that the struggle that I was going through is the only reason, or one of the key reasons, that my story is now incredible. Even now, if I go through future struggles, I have in my mind this knowledge that the struggle makes the story. What you go through, what you put yourself through in terms of setbacks, in terms of failures, in terms of struggles, in terms of almost quitting, those failures, those things that you want to overcome or you think are going to be world-ending in terms of what you want to achieve in your life, those setbacks are the reason that your story will one day resonate with thousands or potentially millions of other human beings. There's this key moment that I always think back to that was kind of the perfect example of this. But in 2021, I took a long break from content creation. I had made a little bit of money with NFTs, nothing crazy, but enough that I didn't really have to worry about money. And I decided to use that freedom that I had to take some time off work, to compete in an Ironman triathlon and sort of use those savings from NFTs to just give myself a runway, if you will, to figure out what I wanted to do next. Because prior to that, I had a freelance business and I had just kind of fallen out of love / COVID had completely annihilated that business. And so I was in a place in my life where I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. I knew I didn't want to make the content I was making anymore. Back then I was making, digital art and really not feeling connected to the work I was doing. And so come early 2022, when I was about 6 months into this break, I had started to run out of that money. I was in February or March of 2022, getting down to my last $1,000 or $2,000. And I had started to anticipate paying for my rent, paying for food, paying for everything on my credit card, which is really fucking scary, to be honest. I didn't really anticipate that ever happening to me, but I had no income. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing with my life, and I was 6 years into my entrepreneurial journey. So the prospect of going back and getting a job was so distant that it really felt difficult to comprehend. I didn't have a resume. I had no job history. I had no, real world experience. I was a freelancer. I didn't have something that I thought would be valuable in the marketplace. And so I was having this conversation with my partner, now fiance, McKeely, about what the fuck I should do. And we looked on job application forms. We decided to check things out. And I stumbled across a job for a cycling apparel company based in Melbourne, one that I actively wore, I love, and I'm happy to represent. And the job application included all this stuff about how they have a great company culture. They only want people that are deeply interested in cycling, which I am. You can see the 2 bikes on my wall behind me. It ticked all the right boxes for me. And it was a creative role. It was content creation for them. And so I decided in that moment that I was going to quit. I was going to quit content creation. I'd already taken a break. I hadn't posted anything in I think 8 months at that point. And I decided then that I was done. I was happy to quit. I was happy to call it a day. This job would be great. I wouldn't have to stress about money anymore. I wouldn't have to worry about what I was doing. And I would just call it a day. And so I went home. I wrote up a resume. I applied for the job, and I thank whatever is up there, never heard back from them. They never either saw my application or just ignored it entirely. Maybe that company is watching right now and they realized there was a resume from me back in 2022, but I never heard back. And in that moment, after never hearing back, I both felt like, fuck, I have no, it was a content creation role. what the fuck else do I have on my resume except for the fact that I built my own audience and created content for the last 6 years? And so that was kind of a kick in the teeth in terms of, I have no real job prospects besides maybe going back and getting a secondary education because I'd never went to university, or just going and getting a really, really entry-level job and hoping to build myself up. And so I realized, if I don't figure this out, if I don't find a way to build the life that I want, if I don't move forward or, find a way to progress in the things that I was doing, then I was fucked. And at this point, I was about, I think, $12,000 in credit card debt. It was around April or May of 2022. And I just had this moment where I was like, you know what? If I get to $20,000 in credit card debt, chasing my dream, then I'll really decide to quit. But until I get to that, I'm going to be frugal. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to give this a red hot crack and see where we end up. And so in June of 2022, I set myself the goal of, before the end of 2022, to make $50,000 in a single month selling digital products, creating new content for my audience that I didn't have at the time. I had no audience. I hadn't been making content for years. I wanted to create something entirely new. So this idea of making $50,000 in a single month honestly might as well have been landing on the moon. I, up until that point, had made the most I'd ever made in a single month from anything was like 12 or 14,000 Australian dollars. So like 8 or 9,000 US dollars. And that was from freelance work. I think that was like 3 wedding bookings. So the prospect of then taking that milestone and making 50,000 US dollars in a single month from digital products when I hadn't even started making content yet was fucking impossible, to be honest, and might as well have been impossible. But I started it and I decided to commit. And from July until November, I went from 80,000 followers for digital art and the things that I was doing prior to over 250,000 followers. And I made, in November of 2022, $49,688 or something around there, which obviously failed to meet my goal, right? But it was that moment. I've achieved milestones far higher than that since then, but that moment, that November, was the greatest moment of my entire life, to be honest, thus far. The fact that I had kind of fully had my back against the wall, fully not, or really not known where the fuck I was going to go from there, and then figured it the fuck out and gotten to where I ended up. I haven't had a greater moment than that. And I've had, my first $100,000 month. I made $300,000 in February of this year. And those milestones still don't come close to the feeling that I had hitting that milestone. But the value that I'm trying to put across in this video, and this long story that's now reached 10 minutes, but the value I'm trying to give across in this video is that the only reason that story is incredible, the only reason that so many of you relate to me now, is because you're going through what I went through. But the story's only incredible because of the outcome I've now achieved. And so giving your struggle value, understanding that there is incredible value in the struggle you're going through, because that struggle will one day be the thing that makes your story incredible, is a way to reshape what you're going through in your mind and at least give you something to hang your hat on. To go, yeah, this might be fucking horrible. I might be going through it. I might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you know what? One day this story might be fucking amazing. And if you can think that, or at least have that somewhere in the back of your mind, it can give you the energy to push through that pain, to push through the struggle, to push through the setbacks, to not quit for a little bit longer. And that might be the reason that you one day get to tell the story that, others see as incredible. I hope this video helps, and I'll see you in the next one.